All right. Welcome everyone to a wonderful, wonderful meeting. I love Sarah's work. I love thinking about entrepreneurship differently and coming at it from a different lens. And I can't wait to see what she has to share with all of us. So, in case you haven't been here before, Sarah is a powerhouse entrepreneur and former psychotherapist who now helps purpose driven business owners break free from fear, self doubt, and the mental patterns holding us back so we can create the wildly fulfilling life and business we know we are meant for. Her work is not surface level, it's deep, transformative, and radically life changing. I love this intro. I believe it's 100% true, and I cannot wait to hear what she has in store for us today. Take it away, Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much, Susanna. And I am thrilled to be here with every one of you. And so grateful for Susanna to help let people in and take care of the logistics in the background. So to get us started, I love for you just to have control over muting yourself. It's such a great way to stay present. So if you're not already muted, I would invite you to go ahead and mute and certainly come on and share with me as I invite you to, because those opportunities will be many. So a little bit about myself real quick for those of you that don't know me or haven't met me before in Collaborex. My name is Sarah Leslie, and I help entrepreneurs get more liberated and free. And this topic specifically, had you been talking to me even a year ago, but for sure 3 years ago, I would have laughed if you had said I would be doing a workshop on how to fall in love with sales. That was not at all something that was on my heart or on my mind that I would be presenting on or sharing or helping people with. And it was very clear to me very early on in my own entrepreneur journey that I was going to need to figure out how to fall in love with sales if I was going to if I was going to have a sustainable business and actually love all the parts of my business. So it was my own quest and journey to fall in love with sales and to be able to allow myself to see sales as something that I got to do versus something that created a lot of pressure and avoidance and a lot of other uncomfortable feelings inside of myself at the beginning. So I want to invite you, first off, I want you to be able to get to know each other. If I had a little bit more time, I'd have us break up into small groups and really get to know each other. And since it's a little bit of a different format, I want to use the chat a lot. So the first thing I want to invite you to do is share your name, 2 or 3 words about what you do in the world and where you're calling in from. And this is just a great way to start to connect with each other and get to know each other, as well as be here to get the information that you came for. So I'll give you just a second to do that. And I'm going to throw my name and information in the chat as well. And for those of you that don't know, I actually host an affinity group within the Collaborex community, which is the community that you're in if you're not already a member for today's group. And I host that. It's called Liberated Boss. It's on the first and third Monday of the month. And I also have a mastermind opportunity coming up. If you're interested and you love what you hear today, I'll drop a link to share more information about that as well. So just take a read through as you're putting in your information and see who else is here with us today. I can hear someone typing, which I know is not me. So I'm just going to click on my little mute all button here. There we go. Okay, cool. So take a look and see who's here. Heart people's stuff if you relate to them or you're wanting to give a shout out to them. I love to use the chat and I want to invite you to use the chat as well today. We have a lot of people here and I want to hear from you. And also we won't have time to hear from everyone. And so the chat is just a great way to be able to have your voice heard and put your word out there. And if as I'm moving along, you have specific questions, please drop those into the chat as well, because I do want to hear from you. So it's my desire for you today to fall in love with sales just a little bit more. And if hearing that, you're like, sorry, I don't love sales at all. Cool. This is an invitation to begin to consider to love sales. If you're already in a space where you're like, I kind of do love sales, amazing. I love that for you. And this is an opportunity to go even a little bit more in the feelings of how you embrace sales already. And I'm also just going to share right up front, it's entirely possible that you will have heard some of the things that I talk about today. What I invite you to maximize the time that you've decided to invest in being here is to almost like pretend that you haven't heard what I'm going to share. Just in case you have, just go ahead and decide right now, I'm going to pretend like I haven't heard it and just receive everything that comes to me today as if it were something really new and interesting to hear. And I guarantee you, if you allow yourself to show up that way, this hour will absolutely prove to be fruitful for you, regardless of where you're at on your journey and your liking of or not liking of sales. So let's get started with setting an intention. If you've not been in my world before, I love to get really clear with why I'm doing anything that I'm doing. And certainly my clients know this very well. The question is always there. What is it that you're really wanting? And so I want to invite you to consider, why did I come to this call today? What is it that I'm really here for? And go a little bit deeper if it's like, oh, it's a workshop that Collaborex hosts. I go to all of them. Cool. And ask yourself, why is it that I chose to come to a workshop that's called Fall in Love with Sales? And I want you to start by writing it down, whether you have a piece of paper or you're using an electronic device, either way. And I want you to be as honest and forthcoming about the answer as you can. And I'm going to invite you to do this exercise a couple of different ways. Again, everything that I do has so much purpose behind it. As Susanna mentioned, I've been a psychotherapist for over 20 years and a coach for 6. So there's lots of intention in every single thing that I invite you to do. And so as you're writing it out for yourself, it's an opportunity to just start to like engage and ask yourself that question, like, why am I here? And then I want you to write down some of the things maybe that you wouldn't necessarily want to share, right? About why you're here or what you're looking for as a result of being here. Where is that breakthrough that you're looking to have around sales in your own business? And then I want to invite you to drop something into the chat representative of what you wrote down. So you can share something more brief. You can literally share the exact same thing. And or if there's some part of what you wrote down, you're like, oh, I don't think I want to share that with everybody. Totally cool. Share something in the chat for why you came today and or what you're looking for by coming. And drill down like any of the specifics that you want. And as you're reading through, as you're writing your thing, also take the moment to look through and read through and see what's there. I love that. And just heart or some way acknowledge people's stuff as it resonates for you. And then I want to ask a slightly different question and see if there's anything else that comes up for you. What could I say today that would radically help move your sales forward, that would radically help move your business forward, and specifically in this area of sales, of putting your offers out there into the world, of creating those best fit clients, of charging the prices you absolutely want to be receiving? Where is it that you most need the breakthrough today? What's that thing that I could share about that would be like, oh my gosh, that was so helpful. I can go put that into practice right away. Give your best answer if something comes up for you. Again, feel free to write all of the answers down to this because you will absolutely get a breakthrough just by writing these answers down in the most honest way with yourself. And then I invite you to drop it in the chat as well. And then I invite you to just look through and see what other people are saying. Sometimes it's so affirming, validating, to see that other people are feeling and experiencing something so similar to you. Like, oh yeah, this is not new. Sales is difficult, right? And this is something that, yes, I want a little more attention to. And oh yeah, this person actually would say it even more accurate what I'm feeling. So cool to see those kinds of things in the chat. So just take a look through. I'm going to take like 5 seconds to also look through and see what you guys are saying. I love it. Yes, I love that you're restating and desiring that same thing. I love that. I want to fall in love with sales. Sales is necessary. I want to get better at it. I love that. Yes. In a way that serves your clients. Scared of selling. And I want to see that there's another way to do it. Yes, beautiful. Okay, cool. Lots of similarities. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, don't avoid it. Absolutely. And what you're going to get here, it will absolutely help you not avoid it. Ooh, I love that. Some subtle guilt for charging the money that you charge. Beautiful awareness. I love that. We'll touch on that today for sure. Okay, beautiful. So I'd like to have just one or two share in a little bit more detail what you wrote in the chat. Why are you here? What is it you'd really love to hear today that could help make this part of your business easier? And just raise your actual hand, or you're welcome to raise your virtual hand, whichever one works better for you. Oh, there's my virtual hand waving and clicking without me even doing anything to get that. I'd love to hear from just one or two of you. Carrie, I'd love to hear from you. Guest.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm happy you're here. What is it you would love to hear today, or what's the intention that you're looking for from sales?
My intention, which I'd like to hear more clarity or granularity around, is like how sales is really just a dialogue or a mutual invitation into more. The coach or the teacher or the facilitator would be the one inviting the client, but also the client is inviting him or herself, I suppose. So I see
Yes.
it as an invitation for a greater depth. I want to hear more about that.
Amazing. I love that. And I love the birds in the background that are real and authentic. I love that as well. All right, Janet, I'd love to hear. Why are you here?
It's Jeanette, by the way.
Danette, thank you.
Sorry, everybody does that. Um, so, I mean, the way I see it is there's the two stages to it. Yeah, there's the sales call itself, but you need getting the lead in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And which part of that are you most curious about or wanting to see something different for yourself? Creating the clients, finding the clients, knowing where to go. Is there any part of that that feels more specific for you?
All of that. And, as to the last one, I mean, the truth is, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people who love, well, no, okay. There's probably a select few people who want to tell me where to go, but that's a little different.
I love it. I love it. So all the things as it relates to like bringing them into your world.
Yeah, because I think what that brings up is that we say the word sales, and okay, it can mean different things for different people, but there's different parts of that.
Yes.
And I think each part has its own, is very important.
Absolutely.
And I think I saw what Ronnie said in the chat about, yeah, I'd like to be able to sell without sounding salesy. And I admit, yeah, most people, I don't like, oh my gosh, I'm getting more and more, I'm getting bombarded with what I just mark as spam in my emails.
Okay.
And my messages in LinkedIn, and people looking to connect with me. And I'm at a point now where I can usually tell if they're really just connecting with me to sell to me.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I also have a negative feeling and perception of sales. So I want to not be that, but I know I have to sell. So how do I sell without being that? Because I don't think that you have to be that way to be a salesperson.
Absolutely. You definitely don't. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And we will absolutely be touching on all of it.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So let's keep going. And I'm going to invite a few more people to share as we keep going. So I want to start us off today actually considering if I did love sales, who would I be? How would my life be different? How would I show up to my business if I loved sales? All the parts, as Jeanette outlined for us, right? There's a bunch of different parts that go into sales. It's finding the people, knowing where they are, being with them, offering to them, actually being, inviting them to a sales call or some sort of forum where you're offering something and or talking to them about the sale, right? There's all of these different parts. How do you want that experience to go? And I want to invite you to start doing a little bit of writing on this and just start to write some thoughts down. Who would I be if I loved sales? How would my life be different? How would you behave? How would you think about that part of your business? How would you respond even when people say no? If you loved sales and you felt so good about that part of your business. Start to just write some things down. So I want you to just go ahead and be framing this in your mind like, ooh, this is who I would be, or this is how I would feel. And allow yourself to start to touch and make contact with that version of you. And I'll add, this version of you is there. I know that part is there because, again, had you been mentioning this to me 3 years ago, I would be like, there's no way I'm going to teach a workshop on falling in love with sales. And it's happened. So if it's possible for me, who was a therapist / social worker for 20 years, I know it's possible for you, whatever your journey is. There's so much magic that happens from just asking ourselves the question, who would I be if I loved sales? If that part of my business was easy, that part of my business was fun, how would I wake up in the morning? How would I think about all of those different activities as it relates to sales? And you just immediately start to come into a new place, having new thoughts about that part of your business. And it's a huge part of your business. So I give you just a few more seconds to consider this question and write down some answers. And then I'm going to ask a couple of you to share. And feel free to always put stuff into the chat. As you're noticing things and you're feeling the experience of doing this exercise, you're welcome to share what it's like, what's coming up for you. I guarantee you other people in the room are having a similar reaction of some kind. Awesome. Yes, I'd stop stalling. Ooh, creativity. I love that. Confidence, love, passion, growth. Love that. Oh, some really good stuff here, John. Thank you for all of that. Making offers easily. Yes, with no reservation. So beautiful. So much freedom in that. All right, we've got some really great stuff coming in. So I'm going to take my eyes off the chat, but please look through it and see what other people are writing. And I'd love to have one or two of you chat with me. What was that exercise like to entertain yourself as this new version of you who loves sales?
Hi,
Was there?
Sarah.
Hi, John.
I'll go
Great.
if you like.
Yes, please.
So I thought this was rather interesting. So if you loved sales, if you loved the process of sales, you wouldn't mind rejection at all because you'd be like, I get to start the next one now. How cool is that? And then I thought to myself, what is it about sales that we don't like? Because the process of selling is really no harder or more difficult than any other part of your business.
Yes.
Um, and then I thought, well, actually, there's a lot of negativity attached to sales. Even the word sales feels negative to it.
Yeah.
But if you have something that is going to improve someone else's life, then isn't it a pleasure to to let them buy it?
Right.
I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's where my mind drifted.
I love it. Great awarenesses. Beautiful. All things great to capture and write down. And I love that awareness of like, yeah, if I loved all the parts of sales, it would feel so easy to do it. And then your mind is like, oh, yeah, it actually isn't that hard. So there must be something else going on here. Exactly right. All right, let's see. Carolyn, come on up and chat with me.
Hi, I'm such
Hi.
a typist, so I'd rather I can speak it faster.
Love
I am
it.
one of those people that love sales, and but I don't really call it sales. It's just sort of natural that I describe what I'm doing, and it's just connecting with people, and kind of what Jonathan and what Collaborex is all about is just really building relationships and getting to know each other. I mean, I came from meeting with somebody specifically that was not a sales call, it was a visit for both of us, and then on the bus ran into my friend that I hadn't seen in so many years, and I'm naturally networking in terms of telling somebody what I do, and just getting to sort of catch up in life. So I guess it
Yeah.
depends on what you're providing that makes that very different in every situation. Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. There are a lot of nuances to what's going on for a person as it relates to sales. Where's like your growth edge around sales?
My growth edge. Tell me,
Yeah.
what is
Like
that?
what's the thing that you're looking to see happen where you would enjoy sales even more, or your motivation for coming to the workshop?
I mean, I'm motivated to come here because I met you once. You visited our group, and I remember you very clearly with the gorgeous pink hair. So I knew it was going to be upbeat. I just came from the retreat that we did, so it was great to know that I was going to see other familiar faces that I already like. And I happened to be available to do this, and it was like, why not? Honestly, it wasn't
Okay.
like deep thinking. It's
Yeah.
something I like to do anyway, and it worked out. So this is like fun for me.
Perfect. I love it. Beautiful. And thank you for sharing how you see sales, because it's a beautiful contribution. All right, let's get one other person at least. We've got two, so let's go with both. Kitty, come on up.
Hello, thank you so much for
Hi.
the question, because I love how your simple questions always make me think, and I just absolutely true having like internal breakthroughs, because I just realized that my biggest block for sales is that I care too much about what other people think. And that's why I wanted to come up and share. Because
Yes.
normally I would be like, oh, I'm sure that, like, I don't know, the internal monologues. Um,
Absolutely.
but whatever. So I just feel like that version of me is absolutely unstoppable, because now she doesn't think about what other people think and she's just out there minding her own business, being unapologetic about it, then that's what's going to make her unstoppable. So I think this is great, not just for my sales, but for every aspect of my life, how I show up. And thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Absolutely right.
I'm
And
honestly like shocked how this short question and simple exercise made me realize such a huge thing about myself.
yes,
So thank you.
you're so welcome. That is so beautiful. And thank you for volunteering and sharing it with the group. And that is one of the most beautiful awarenesses we can have, like, oh, if I were this version of myself, this is what it would look like. So what's really getting in the way? Or another fun question that I oftentimes ask folks is, what's really going on here? Right. And so we're aware, and you are coming into an awareness of, ooh, I'm, in my words, I'll say, making it about me instead of really making it be about them. So beautiful. And that is one of my main points for us today to look at. Thank you for sharing. All right, John, I'd love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I'll try to make it compact here, but I found myself having a little argument with myself during this time.
Great.
And a limiting belief that I didn't know I had popped up. And that limiting
Awesome.
belief is that introverts have a hard time selling.
Nice.
And I think it's hard to have the initial conversation, but once you have that, it's easy. I think I'm a relational introvert.
Yeah.
But the truth is likely to be that introverts can love sales too.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I hide in being an introvert.
Okay.
And
Great.
it's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to toss that out and say that might be a struggle for some of the people here. Half the population is somewhat introverted
Yeah.
and struggle with that outreach part.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. It feels so vulnerable and so real. And just that awareness popping into your mind from doing this exercise, similar to Kitty, where it's just like, whoa, there's this thing that's actually really, we'll say now it becomes really obvious, but beforehand it was totally hidden. And now it's like, oh yeah, let me look at this and see what's the truth. And I loved how you went ahead and asked that question. What's really the truth here? Introverts can also love sales. And you can even just step outside of that and ask, what does it look like for me right now, who I am, to do sales in a way that I love? And I had the privilege of being on your workshop to know you have a lot of great strategies for how introverts can show up and it be fun and easeful.
Yeah, it might be worth adding as well that if you're introverted, you don't have to become extroverted to love sales.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you get to be exactly who you are right now. I love it. All right, we'll go one more person and then we'll move us on to the next section and we'll continue having chats. Bob, I'd love to hear what came up for you in doing this exercise.
Excuse me. So the first thing I want to say, particularly to John, is introverts actually make the best salespeople. They're way better than extroverts. And that the reason for that is they listen and they actually have a conversation with people. Extroverts, particularly salespeople that don't know how to sell, spend most of their time just jabbering on about themselves, their products, and stuff that people really do not care about. I'm one of the freaks that love sales, which is ironic because I also talk a lot. But but I think the problem that we all have with sales is that we recognize salespeople in general in society as people we don't want to be like. Pushy, aggressive, slick, conniving, liars. We've all had bad experiences with salespeople, and because of our own need for approval, we don't want to be them. But we don't know what else to do. So if we can reframe how we think about sales, rather than and take out of our vocabulary convincing, persuading, presenting, pitching, that's all BS. That does not work. If we can
Yeah.
think of ourselves as somebody that is uh, in a collaborative conversation to solve our potential client's problem, then that's what sales really is. They will pay you for that. And they will
Yeah.
trust you if you try to understand them. And if they trust you, they will give you money. So we have to do everything we can to not be a salesperson. The three words that should be in our minds all the time are sincerity, curiosity, and empathy. If we can be sincere, curious, and empathetic in our conversations with people, then you won't be selling, you'll be collaborating. So that's
Beautiful. Thank you for your awareness and your approach. Did anything new come up for you on this topic for you personally around sales?
No, it just reinforces how much I love sales.
Okay, awesome. Hey, I'm happy to help reinforce what you already believe. That's awesome as well. And yes, absolutely changing the way we think about sales, right? And that really is the heart of the message today, is finding a new way to think about sales so that it's a space in your business that you deeply enjoy. And some of the things that Bob was alluding to is this space of showing up in service, which really is the next section that I want to move us to. And I love hearing from each one of you with a little bit of a nuanced difference of how to talk about it. And again, it's not something that's so unheard of or so new to you to consider sales as a service. And yet, when you find yourself feeling some of the feelings and ways of being that Bob pointed out and drew out, of like feeling pushy or feeling uncomfortable or feeling avoidant or feeling salesy, whatever that actually means to you specifically, then it's this aversion that gets created to something that isn't actually that way, right? It's sales is neutral. Is just another way you can think about it. Sales is just a thing that we do. It's an activity with various steps to it. And then we bring our own thoughts and our assumptions and our judgments and our experiences, and we then attach it to sales. And so again, there's a way to do that where you can actually decide for yourself, like we just did, how you want to show up as you're considering that part of your business. So the secret here is shifting from finding clients or having to do sales to I get to help people who truly want my help, right? It's this shift to service and really leaning into it. So it's one thing to say sales is service, right? We all agree and have probably heard that before, but it's a whole other thing to actually embody sales is a service and to actually see yourself showing up in this part of your business as you performing, doing, being in service, you helping people really get more of what they want. And that's one of the keys that I like to zone in on, is my sales activities is helping other people actually get or receive what they want. And so in one way or another, that's true for everyone on here. Whatever it is that you're offering, you're actually helping people achieve their goals. The thing that they're currently literally wanting in their own life, you're coming in to offer to them. So I want you to take a few seconds. I'm going to, just like 30 seconds, kind of similar as we've done the last exercise. What is it, if you know that sales is about service and you know that you're showing up to help someone, because I think everybody here knows that intellectually, then where are the places for you personally where you get caught up and or feels uncomfortable as it relates to going out and doing sales? And so some of you have already been doing that awareness work, and I want to just invite an intentional 30 seconds or so. Where is it for you specifically that you get caught up with sales? And one of the ways you can initially think about that is, what literally comes up, or what feelings are you having at this point in our time together? As I've probably said the word sales about 20 times. What's just naturally coming up for you when you hear the word sales? And give yourself that opportunity to really get clear what it means for you at this exact time. So not what you want it to mean, and not what you've thought about in the past, and not about what other people think it is, but what do you feel about sales? What are your feelings that come up when you think about you going and being active in that part of your business? What's the feelings that you notice right away that come up as you're just a few seconds into this exercise? Because you're no doubt already having some feelings around sales and thinking about yourself being in that part of your business and offering your thing or not offering your thing, and or being on a call with someone and you're wanting to share your ideal price and you find yourself, ooh, not quite able to say it or not able to say it with the level of confidence that you want to have behind it. What's really going on for you in those moments? And again, I just want to invite you to write it down as a way to be really honest with yourself. And then I'd love for you to throw something into the chat that feels, comfortable enough for you to share with everybody else. What are those feelings that come up when you think about sales? I loved what Jeanette offered with that awareness that she's got when people are selling to me, specifically in the emails. I get a feeling that comes up of like, oh, I don't like that, right? And so we want to be really aware. How do you feel when people drop a note in the DM? Or how do you feel when an invitation is extended to you? Because those feelings that you have when people are quote unquote selling to you are the same feelings that are slowing down you're going out and selling. You're going out and offering your gift to the world. And that really is how I see it. As you're writing those things down and becoming aware and dropping it into the chat, I'll just go ahead and say, the way that I think about sales, I now just use the word sales. It's taken me a while just to get to the point where I just use the word sales and selling. I used to have all different other kinds of words that I would use instead. And what I mean when I say selling is very similar. Let's see, I think it was Carolyn who articulated, yeah, you're just showing up to offer your gifts and talents to other people who you believe would benefit from it. You can see like, oh, if you had this, if I were able to help you with this, you would absolutely be able to create that thing that you really want. And that absolutely is the way that I think of sales. And so naturally, a couple of people have pointed this out. I think John was one of them, is this simplicity to actually finding people. That's easy, right? People are everywhere. And putting out there what we do, that's easy. We've all practiced it probably 1,000 times. I know I have. And then offering to help them. That's pretty easy. We offer to help people all the time, right? Most of us do. I know I'm used to offer my services in one way or another all the time in different ways with all the people in my life. Hi, can I help you with this? Oh, let me help you with that. I'm a helper. And so the nuts and bolts of sales is actually very easy. So it's really just our own beliefs, our own associations, our own perceptions of sales and being sold to or selling that get in our way. So I'd love to have one or two of you pop on and talk with me. What do you know for yourself right now in real time, not before or in the future, is the thing that comes up for you when you think about sales, when you think about doing sales in your own business? Is there anyone else that wants to share? Besides Jeanette, I will absolutely call on you, which I love that you're raising your hand. Mike, absolutely. Come on and chat with me. What's coming up for you?
Well, I've never worked in sales. I've worked with sales, but not in sales. So I would get the, leads and stuff. But I'd like to figure out a way to do cold outreach in a way that provides value. Isn't just a, hey, I do this, I can help you this way, but actually personalizing it, because I'm looking for high margin clients. And maybe like redo something that they have done that could be better without sounding like I can't think of the word, but I can think of it. I just don't want to say it, but
Yeah. Yeah. And that's everybody's goal, right? Like, how do I show up and it sound really authentic is what I'm hearing you say. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and have them, because I think I want to make them aware that here is a problem you may not be aware you have and how I can solve it, but I don't know, but I want to do that in a way that they actually appreciate and call back and,
Yeah.
a unique value.
So there's this detail of you wanting to bring something to their attention that they might not have thought of. Am I hearing you correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever done that before in your life with anyone? Brought something up to someone else's attention that maybe they haven't thought of?
Yes.
Okay.
several times.
Yeah. Several times. And was it easy or hard?
It depends on the person. If they're secure and willing to be curious and say, "Oh, I don't know something," then yeah. But if they're the
Yeah.
kind of people who never say "I don't know," then no, because
Yeah.
they must know everything. Like saying "I don't know" is weak. It's weakness.
Okay.
But it's like, no, that's actually strength.
Yeah.
It's okay not to know things.
And both directions, whether it was this way or that way, you went ahead and brought it up to them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, and I've had it brought up to me, and said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that."
Yeah. So do you feel like that's the part that's actually hard? Or is there something else that's going on for you that makes it hard to reach out to people?
Oh, just fear. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I want my website to be perfect and my message isn't clear. And if I'm offering clarity, I'm good at telling other people's story and marketing other people, terrible at marketing myself.
Okay.
So,
So here's a great place for you to start. Literally, the best place for you to start right now is this shift. So and this is very common, right? Where people say, I'm really good at helping other people, but I'm not as good at doing it for myself. Can anyone relate? I can definitely relate. Okay. So the best place to start is changing that story in real time. So instead of you going into the time that you spend in sales with this background belief that says, I'm terrible at marketing myself, what could you go into it with instead? If you were to let go of the belief, I'm terrible at marketing myself, what would you want to feel and or believe about how you put yourself out there to others?
what would I want? I'm gonna need some time to think about that.
Okay. If it were really easy and you were thinking like just simply, this is how I want to show up with other people when I'm offering them my service, what would you want to believe about that?
I'd want to believe that they, well, I'm not sure what what do I want them to believe about me, or I'm not sure what.
What do you want to believe about yourself when you're offering your service?
Um, that I can articulate in a way that that person will understand it, and not
Yes.
like know my audience, know the audience down to the person.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I like this first part about I articulate myself in such a way that people understand and receive me easily. I tweaked it a little.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So if you actually believed that and you leaned into that belief over these next few days, you were like looking at yourself in the mirror as you're getting ready and you're like, I articulate things so well to my perfect people. And then you actually sat down at your office desk to do that very thing, I guarantee you it will go so much better. Just that simple shift to you leaning in to believing, I actually am really good at articulating exactly what I want to communicate to the person I'm trying to communicate to, or the person I'm choosing to communicate to. How does that land for you? Is that believable?
I think, I mean, yeah, if I can get them, if I can just get like their attention, then yeah. I basically don't want them to understand it all, but understand enough to say, tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit. So that's the lean in for you, is the articulating of just a little bit of something that says, hey, I wonder if you've thought about this. I'd love to chat with you more about it.
Right. And it's kind of a complicated, yeah, the problem is the complicated, it's like a different offer than most places. It's like
Yeah,
strategy and also video production, but it doesn't cost what you think it does. So I used to work in
cool.
production, so I know how to make things look good, but they don't only cost like a quarter of what you would think.
Okay. Yeah. And of course, that's going to be different for everyone, right? If we asked everyone on the call what they thought it would cost, everyone would have a different answer. So the most important part is you showing up to articulate it in such a way that you easily understand it. and trust the people that you're coming into contact with will also be able to easily understand it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a show don't tell thing. That's why I say, like, taking something that they've made and saying, here's a shorter, clearer version of it that doesn't use all these big words. B2Bs, like, we leverage our, whatever. They use all these words that they don't need to. They're
Yeah.
afraid to just say very clearly what they do.
Yeah. So this is part of the work of falling in love with the process, is falling in love with the way that you do the process. Right? And so you're able to identify with other people where they're maybe not articulating it as clearly. And so the place for you to lean in on is, I articulate it really clear what I offer. And I would love for you to reach out to me. If you like really leaned in on that belief over this next week, I guarantee you reaching out to people will absolutely get easier. I'd love to hear how that goes for you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, cool. Pierce, let's chat.
It kind of occurred to me as the sort of, after writing all these things down, the last thing that sort of also came out of nowhere was like the vulnerability of, there's a vulnerability to sales, and
Yes.
the other person, I mean, and I can build this into a really big wall that I can't climb over, but the other person has all the control, in that relationship in a lot of ways, and so I think that's part of sort of this lack of control, vulnerability, and I think that's a real stumbling block to just getting the ball rolling. I think
Okay.
for me, it's more getting the leads, because usually I'm fine once I'm talking with somebody one-on-one. I'm there just to see if I can offer them help or not. And that conversation usually goes really well. So it's like a warm lead is usually a really easy conversation for me. But thinking
Okay.
of getting leads, or cold calls and things like that, that to me is this sort of insurmountable wall. And I think that's sort of maybe more at the heart of it, is this sort of no control, and vulnerability and all that.
Yeah. And I would say vulnerability and control, those are two actually really big things.
Mm-hmm.
Significant. Let me not add to your wall, and I'll say significant instead. And so what do you think it is that makes it so hard for you to consider finding your people?
I think there's a fear of a failure with it, in a way.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess they're pretty deep rooted things, like it's not. And I know I offer a good product, and I offer a good service, a good value. So it's not that so much. I guess it's just personal, you know.
Yeah.
And it brings into self-worth and all those deep issues.
Absolutely, it does. Yes. So there's this fear of failing that I'm hearing you highlight. And
or fear of rejection, failing.
Fear of
Fear of
rejection.
rejection, probably even bigger than that. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful work, by the way. We're getting more clear, right? We haven't even talked for a minute, and it's already getting more clear. Actually, it's really the fear of rejection. It's fear of hearing somebody say no, and or some version of no.
Or not liking you, right?
Or not liking it.
No,
Yeah.
not liking you. Yeah.
Yeah. So this fear of people not liking you is actually the wall.
Yeah.
Right? Because people are everywhere. So do you see the difference between thinking it's hard to find people versus I'm having a hard time with the feeling I might get rejected?
Yeah.
Does that land?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we just already made the wall more manageable.
Right.
By identifying it's not really about finding the people. Because a minute ago, it really felt like it was the people, and especially those cold people that you don't know yet and don't know you. Right? And once you're in conversation with people you've already identified, it usually goes pretty well, which is awesome. So there's a part of you that needs to be attended to. I'll just use that word, attended to, around this piece of rejection. And that really, I'll just go ahead and say for me, was the biggest growth in my own learning, was that awareness that I wasn't actually afraid of doing sales. I actually love talking about what I'm doing and how I help people and how people's lives get changed because of the work that I do with them. It's this part of me that was like terrified, right? And I think about it as like the little girl, Sarah, inside of me who didn't get picked for the team or the project or the this or the that or the whatever, who, moved around a bunch of times and was constantly leaving friends and then having to go and make new friends. And that felt so uncomfortable, right? And then, oh, I'm with the new people and are they going to like me? And I don't know, am I going to be accepted in this group of people? And all of that takes so much of our mental energy, way more than it is logistically hard, right? The people were all right there for me. And it was like, no, I have to now put myself out there to see if they wanted to be my friend. And so when I really got down to the awareness of, oh, we're really not talking about sales, it was such a game changer. Oh, we're really talking about this like little girl stuff that's like from years and years and years ago. Okay, cool. Let me get help with that. And then I'll be able to show up easily and just put my offer out there, right? Or just easily write a post. Or just easily be out at the coffee shop and hear someone talking about something that's very relevant to what I do and just turn and start a conversation with them. I'm good at talking to people. But when I had that fear of rejection, it was very hard to turn and start talking to that person because they might not like me. They might be like, why are you talking to me? Which could happen. And when we've done that work around the fear of rejection and the fear of our feelings getting hurt and the fear of failing and the stuff that, in other words, is making the sales part be about us and how we're feeling or how we're dealing with things, we've cleared that up. Can you see how you would just easily be able to turn to the person at the coffee shop that you've never met before?
That's still gonna be hard for me, but I'm getting there.
Okay, cool.
I'm following you.
Well, if I've moved you at least a little bit closer to it, we're in business, right? We're only hanging out for a short window of time. So yes. And it's so true because again, that used to really terrify me. And now I literally do it all the time, wherever I'm at. But I say that part of my story because I want you to understand this isn't who I always have been. And 10 years ago, for me to like randomly start talking to someone in line, no, I would not do that. That was just not part of my upbringing where my parents did that. So that was like, different, abnormal.
Right.
But now I do it all the time because again, I've done this internal shift, the internal healing that I needed to do with myself. How does that land? Does that resonate?
100%.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. Cool. So I love that we moved you just a little bit further, right? That was my intention for everybody today, is just move you a little bit closer to loving sales. Beautiful work. Thanks for chatting with me.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to chat on this particular thing? What's coming up as like the real blocker for you in the sales process and all the parts of sales? Joanne.
Well, for me, sales comes in the way of fundraising because I have a nonprofit that I'm working on for young adults with cognitive disabilities to learn skills in the trades. And so I don't always have a fear of talking about my business and telling people what I do, but the issue probably comes more with the ask for money because there are so many people out there fundraising, and I just don't want to be that other annoying person, to solicit funds from somebody, even though I do fully understand the value of what the organization offers and how they could be helping young people get in, gain more independence and all those kind of things. So, so I guess it's the fear of being annoying, and maybe that is also being liked kind of thing. I don't know, but it's really challenging.
No, it's beautiful. I love that. So when we did the exercise around who would you be, if you love showing up to people and offering / asking them for money, what came up for you? What was that vision of you?
I actually felt excited by it, all the things that I was writing down, because I truly feel like it's inside of me. I just
It
need to
is.
put out,
Uh-huh.
like it's there, and I do it, because
Yeah.
just creating this business. I'm the founder of the organization, so just creating it has had to change the way I operate and do things. So, and I felt more energized by it all, like if I was really out there doing it, and I also feel like I would feel more efficient in everything that I'm
Ooh.
doing.
Okay. Yeah. So in any part of that vision, did you feel annoying?
No, I don't think I did when I was writing things down. It's more when I think of everybody, we all get so
Yeah.
many emails. And, even right now for my business, I don't send out a ton of emails. But even today, I got some, you can see who declines or unsubscribes. And I'm like, you're my friend. What the heck?
Yes. Yes.
And so I don't want to overdo it, because
Okay. So
yeah.
let me jump in here because you've got so many great things percolating, and I'm going to like laser in on at least one of them. I love how this coordinates or, is similar to Pierce of that, like, oh, I got the unsubscribe. It feels awful, right? And then at first it does. Oh, and I'm just noticing the time, you guys. We're having so much fun. The time is flying by. I meant to say that at the beginning. The time is going to fly by. If you have to hop off, we're at 1. Feel free to pop off. I'm going to finish up with Joanne, and then I'll summarize for us and take any last remaining questions. I can stay on for about 15 minutes. So this part of you perceiving that you're going to be annoying. What if we pivoted completely to you're sending out communications and the people who want to receive it will continue to opt in to receiving them? And instead of even thinking about it like people are, not interested in what you're selling, or they're annoyed at the emails, they're just making a decision for themselves that says, actually, this isn't something that interests me. And that, 1 or 2 people will fall off when you send out an email. Can that feel for you like it's actually empowering for them? Instead of it being like, oh, I'm the annoying person, can you allow it to be about them and they're making an empowered decision?
Yeah, I think I can do that, because I am at the heart of it. I'm a believer in it, like that we find the right people, for
Yeah.
ourselves, and that's even one of my mantras. Everything from I find the right donors, I find the right students, the right staff, all of that. So
Yeah.
part of it, I am a believer in that. But there is that little piece of me that's like, man, I'm not even inundating you yet.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's why I wanted to pivot it.
Yeah,
Just that part even.
yeah, yeah.
Right? Because I want you to allow it to just not even cause you a blip. And in fact, what I would offer to you over this next week, and or we'll say the month, since you don't send out emails that often, the next time someone unsubscribes, I want you to practice celebrating their being empowered to make their good choices. And that will help you just radically shift from even that little part of you that's like hurt and offended to, that's amazing. I'm so glad you're empowered to make choices for yourself. How does that land?
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's probably a better way to view it for sure. Because, like I said, I definitely have the other vibe going, on the
Yeah,
positive end of things. I just gotta tweak that negative
I
side.
totally get it. Yeah. So this is a great embodied practice for you to actually go sort of to the other extreme of celebrating their unsubscribe,
Yeah,
right?
perfect. Thank you. I appreciate
Biggest
that.
bang for your buck. You're welcome. All right, you guys, this was so beautiful. So just summarizing, right? The shift to how we actually show up in service while doing all the components of sales is right here. How do we shift the thing that's literally keeping us from showing up and easily doing the sales process? What is it inside of us that needs to shift? It's always coming back to our needed shift and getting clear with what that is, and then actually allowing that growth to happen. Does anyone have any questions have about 10 minutes. I'm happy to stay on. If anybody has specific questions, thank you so much for being here. This was beautiful, packed, and beautiful. And I love that every one of you are here. Any last minute questions? Otherwise, we'll just wrap up, but feel free to ask. There's room and space for you to ask.
Anyone wants to practice their like sales pitch, I'm on LinkedIn or whatever. I'm always happy to give feedback if they have a pitch.
Cool. Yeah. Have some conversation with people about it. I love that. Beautiful. All right, you guys. My information is in the chat. Reach out to me over any of the ways. If you want more of this, I'm happy to have conversation with you about how to do more of this and fall even more in love with sales. So glad to have you with me. Cheers.
Thank you. You're the best.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad you were here.
Such my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks
Yay.
for having me.
You're
See you.
so welcome.
Bye.
Thanks very much. I just posted yours at the bottom there because I had to go look for it. So if others are looking for it, there it is.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So helpful. And I love your background.
Oh, thank
All
you.
like, yeah, so
Yeah, it's
natural.
real. Those are just windows and clouds.
I know. I love it. Most people are trying to hide their background and you're not, which I love.
Anyway,
Cool.
thank you so much.
Bye. Cheers. That was so fun and better than I would have even imagined it by not detailing it out. I would have never thought to do that. So fun. Let's be real. That was so fun. Like